I don't think it'll be ready, but I have to look. It just depends on what the customer wants. So. We're not allowed to take theirs and then translate it into a different, it's like they want it. Right. We just know what they want. We're not allowed to take their. So, we have to take it. So, yeah.
Adjusting the clicker. No, yeah. See if that looks on there. See if it looks on here. Go back. Oh, wait. Perfect. Okay.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is JP, and I'm just gonna welcome everybody and touch up on some housekeeping. We have some people online, I believe. So, first off, I'd like to touch up on some dates for you guys to mark on your calendars. If this works. Okay, first, our annual meeting awards nominations are now open, so please do that. On April 15th, we will be closing early. That's tax day. On April 18th, will be closed for Good Friday. April 21st is gonna be a hybrid day for us. On April 24th, we're gonna have building success with Carla Rogers, and I believe Fabi is gonna touch up on that a little bit more. And on April 28th and 29th, we will be supporting the Zero Fatalities Safety Summit. As well, for some exciting news, we want to let you guys know that we have purchased a building and we will be moving operations in our offices to Sandy. It's 11075 South State Street, so by the Costco there. On dates, we're not too sure yet, but for sure it will be the first weeks of June. So stay tuned for more details, and we're super excited for that. And I think that was it. Next up, we'll hear from Fabiana.
Thank you, JP. My name is Fabiana. And for our news is, okay, let's see. The other one. I never get this. Oh, this one.
Try again.
I'll let you do it. Like JP mentioned, we have our annual meeting that will be in October the 3rd. We have a theme this year, which is the 1920s. So pay attention on our social media. We're gonna be posting about all the information. So far, the applications are being accepted through July the 31st. So save the day on October the 3rd. And it's gonna be at the Weber State Davis campus in Layton. Okay. Next, for the Women in Safety news, we have you click one more time. Thank you. So we have Carla Rogers on April the 24th. We're gonna be talking about building. She's gonna be talking about building success. So please go to our scan our QR code or go to our social media, and you guys can like register online. This is gonna be at the Silicon Slope, and it's gonna be at 11:30, and lunch will be provided. So sit at limit. So please register. Check our social media. We have a Women in Safety Instagram that you guys can go and check it out and like and follow. And next we're gonna be like, let's see, Brandon. He's gonna be talking about the members' benefits.
Morning, everybody. My name is Brandon. I am the Outreach and Community Education Manager here with the Safety Council. Basically, that means it's my job to reach out to our member companies. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about membership. And membership is what drives our company here at the Utah Safety Council. We're a member-based company. Without our members, we wouldn't be here. So we take it seriously, and it's something we put effort into. Just to touch on a few things about membership, a neat thing, new members get a free consultation, whether that be a review of your safety plan or an inspection of your facility. We'll help make sure that you're on task with your safety program. If you are a current member, make sure to take advantage of your member benefits. You get a free OSHA 10 class every year. You get a free first aid CPR class every year. We have streaming safety videos that you can view to help train your employees. Make sure you take advantage of those benefits. They're good benefits. But if those benefits don't work for you, they're not beneficial to your company, but you still want to support us in our mission here at the Utah Safety Council, that's terrific. Get a membership. Support us in our mission. Our mission is to save lives by promoting safety and health through education, services, and products. That's what we're trying to do here. You can support us, even if our benefits don't work. And then last, I wanted to mention that we do provide AED services. If you're in the market for an AED, come to the Utah Safety Council. We can help get that in your facility. We can help get your people trained on how to use it. We're not commission-based salespeople, so we'll probably save you some money. So yeah, reach out if you have a need, or if you already have an AED, you just need to replace batteries, pads, whatever the case may be, we can help you. And if you just need training, reach out, we can help you. I really enjoy doing that training. Next up will be Yvette.
Hey, good morning, everyone here joining us through Zoom, Facebook Live, and in person. For in-person people, we do have the nomination forms for our annual awards here to your left, my right. If you guys do want to take a bunch of copies with you, please be our guest. And so I'm just going to talk briefly about our guest of honor today. Our speaker today is Madison Okumura. Did I say that right? Hey, a Zero Fatalities outreach lead committed to traffic safety and student success in Utah. With a background in communication studies and public relations, she draws inspiration from her family of educators to educate and empower students statewide on the importance of safety. Fun fact about Maddie, she has delivered over 700 safety presentations in the state of Utah, so this is nothing to her. Please help me welcome Madison. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. How are we doing? Good. Thanks for being here today. Just to talk a little bit more about Zero Fatalities. How many of you have heard of Zero Fatalities, are familiar with it, have seen a presentation before? Perfect. Essentially all of you. For any of you who haven't seen our presentations before, we go to businesses all around the state of Utah. We are primarily right now in driver's ed classrooms. So students who are in driver's ed, it is now required by the state of Utah to their parents to attend an hour of driver's ed. So we go into these schools, the teachers will have us do this presentation alongside their parents. That way these students can have more of an opportunity to talk with their teens as they're going through driver's ed, as they're learning. Their parents are the ones that are right next to them. So we kind of facilitate it that way. But again, Zero Fatalities, we are a UDOT program. We're a statewide program. We go all over. So we travel throughout the entire state of Utah, talking to these teens about how to drive, not only just safely in general, but we talk about semi-truck safety. So again, we're also in businesses and we're just trying to spread that information. So I want to start off by talking about Zero Fatalities and why we've specifically named ourselves Zero Fatalities. And that is because it is our only goal. So to start off, I want this to be a little bit interactive for those of you who are here in person. But if I said zero is a goal, I want you to be honest. How many of you, by show of hands, think we can get to zero in the state of Utah? Yep, that's pretty common. No hands. Okay, we ask that a question a lot, actually, most of the time. Maybe in an audience of like 400 people, maybe like 1 or 2 will raise their hand. But most of the time, most people don't think we can. Now, that's okay, because there's a lot of people in the state of Utah. You don't know everybody in the state of Utah, but you do know yourself, right? Several years ago, we actually went out in the streets of Salt Lake City. We asked that same question, and we took polls, and most people said, no way. So we said, okay. Well, what would a good goal be? What should our goal be? And people said, well, if we could decrease the fatalities in half every year, that would be a really good goal to live by. Some people said 20 less fatalities is good. We had one person say, if we even had just 1 less fatality on our Utah roads, that would be a really good goal to live by. So we said, okay. Well, our next question for them, and my next question for you is, out of all the fatalities that we see on our Utah roads, how many can we take from your family? What do you think everyone answered? 0, right? The answer was 0. I'm sure for every single one of you in this room, the answer is 0. I know for me and my family, it's 0. So then we got thinking, well, if the answer for all of us individually in the state of Utah would be 0, we don't want to lose people in our lives, then the goal should be 0. So let's look at some numbers real quick. In the state of Utah, if this works. Maybe. Do I have to be closer? Maybe. It was working earlier. That's the funny thing about technology, right? Okay. So let's look at numbers from last year. In 2024, we saw 278 fatalities in the state of Utah. So 278, sometimes people will come to us and say, I mean, for the entire state, that's pretty good. However, think of 278 people in your life. Then it becomes a bigger deal. I mean, let's be honest, can we even name 278 people right now off the top of our head that are in our lives, right? That we know. Now, let's say we even take that just from our Facebook friends, our Instagram followers, whatever it may be, 278 is still a lot. So again, we want to make sure that we're going down. And compared to the last several years, we actually have seen a decrease in these fatalities. So it is possible to see that decreasing trend. But it all starts with every single one of us being better drivers, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us. Now, again, thinking about what we can do, because we can only control ourselves. We can't control everybody in the state of Utah. So we encourage everyone to be better drivers for those that you love, your friends, your family, your neighbors that you love, your neighbors that you don't love so much. Be a better driver for all of those people. We can start seeing that decrease in this trend. Yeah.
1 second, let me try it one more time. Go back and then go forward.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so I want to talk about the safety summit real quick that we have in this upcoming spring. So the dates for that. Okay, so we have the safety summit. This is coming up at the end of this month. We would love for everybody to join and participate. For those of you who don't know, every couple years, Zero Fatalities does a safety summit. And it is going to be at the Mountain America Expo Center, April 28th and 29th. So again, these are for safety professionals. We're going to be talking about traffic safety. In a second, I'll throw up who's going to be attending, different speakers, how to register. But essentially, Zero Fatalities and the Zero Fatalities Safety Summit is gathering of traffic safety officials and advocates focused on improving traffic safety around the state of Utah. It features presentations and sessions on key topics such as pedestrian and bike safety, enforcement, engineering, driving education, and more, all geared towards getting to that goal of zero. Oops. Hold on. Okay. Technology, it did not do that earlier. Okay, so for those of you with great eyes, all of that. Essentially, what that other screen was trying to say is different types of speakers and people who are going to be there. So child passenger safety technicians, if any of you are CPS technicians, law enforcement, driver's ed teachers are there. We talk about pedestrian safety. So again, it's education and it's for traffic safety. I like to call them traffic safety nerds, but you know, traffic safety people, advocates like ourselves. So again, we really would love for you to join and attend. You can register with this QR code. I can get this out somewhere as well. But we also have scholarships if that is more of an option for some people here in the state of Utah. So if cost is an issue, we also do have scholarships, but you can register. You still have time to do that. We would love to see all of you there. Okay, let's talk about the 5 safe driving behaviors that we talk about here at Zero Fatalities. We like to focus on 5 safe driving behaviors specifically. We like to focus on driving calm, driving focused, driving calm, driving sober, driving alert, and driving buckled. Now, in driver's ed, these are the 5 main things that they focus on. So these are the 5 main things that we talk about when we're with those driver's ed students or in business presentations. Today, for the sake of time, we're going to talk about 3 of these, especially because we are approaching Utah's 100 Deadliest Days. How many of you know what 100 Deadliest Days is, when it is? You're probably a little familiar with it. So again, for those of you who aren't, Utah's 100 Deadliest Days starts in May, at the very end of May. So Memorial Day goes for 100 days till Labor Day. So essentially in our summer months. Now in those summer months, those 100 days, we see more fatalities on our Utah roads. Now, a lot of people think that you see more fatalities in the wintertime, right? The weather's bad, low visibility, crazy drivers, all those types of things. That factors into crashes for sure. Lots of crashes can happen in the summer, in the wintertime, but in the summertime, there's a lot of factors that contribute to fatalities on our road, which is why, unfortunately, we have deemed Utah's 100 Deadliest Days from May, the end of May, to the beginning of September. So today we're going to talk about some of the things that factor into those, some of those behaviors, and how we can counteract those. We're going to talk about driving focused, driving calm, and driving buckled. Okay. Oh. Okay, let's start off with driving focused. This tends to be a crowd favorite. So for those of you who are in this room, I want you to shout out, what are some of the crazy driving things, distractions that you've seen on the roads? What are some distractions you've seen?
Texting and driving.
Cell phones, texting and driving, right? Using a phone. Others.
Just being on the car.
Yeah, so especially in newer cars, they're getting a lot bigger, right? And so it's almost like a mini TV, or even like about the size of an iPad. So that can count as like a phone too, sometimes very distracting. What are
People
some
watch TV shows driving down the road.
Isn't that terrifying? People watch TV shows on those like little monitors. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be on those actual monitors. I was driving down a road once and I saw someone just had their phone like kind of on the on their dash watching a movie. So okay, others.
Eating food.
Eating food.
Yeah.
Yeah, eating food, even just drinking like out of anything that they have to like tip back. Yeah. Anything else?
I saw people doing their makeup.
Makeup is a big one. Yeah.
They're very talented.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, others.
Dropping and reaching for things.
Dropping and reaching for things. I love that you added that.
I'm nosy. I'm those nosy drivers that will watch something happening and I'll pull up slowly. So would that count?
So you're distracted.
I'm distracted for sure. I'm watching like drama unfold on the road.
Yes. No, yeah. So a lot of people don't always think about that, right? But if so other people being distracting can make it distracting for you as the driver, right? Because you're like, what is this person doing? Or you know, oh, are they on their phone? They're going so slow. What are they doing? You speed up, you try and look over, and now you're not focused on the road, right? Some other ones that we hear a lot, animals, wildlife, but also like little dogs on laps, big dogs in the back seat walking back and forth. Obviously makeup is a really big one. Cell phones are a really big one. I saw someone shaving their legs once and trying to drive. I know. That is horrible, right? Now it's not just women though. I've also seen guys shaving their faces and trying to drive at the same time. That is just distracting. It's distracting again, not only for the people doing it, but then it can be distracting for others as well.
Oh, baby crying.
And
Oh, I have a baby, and then he cries and cries. I'm like, concentrate.
Yeah, so babies, kids, other passengers in general, there are so many things, but driving needs to take all of our attention all the time. One other that I'll throw in that people don't always think about as a distraction is driving on autopilot. Not to throw my father under the bus, but he is one who does that all the time. Sometimes he will be heading to the grocery store and he'll end up at the school he teaches at, and he didn't even realize it until he turned into the parking lot because he was on autopilot. Now, autopilot doesn't seem like a bad thing until you realize that you're not really focused on what's going on around you, right? So I'm going to talk about cell phones. Cell phones was the first thing that came up. And cell phones are incredibly distracting. We all have a cell phone. Our cell phone helps us do literally everything. It holds our contacts, pictures, not our cell phones, but it holds other things that we have, right? We could access literally anything from a phone. This video is going to talk about JC. Now, I want you to think about the reasons you might use your phone behind the wheel of a car. You don't need to shout out, you don't need to raise your hands, but I want you to think. Why might you be tempted to look at a phone? Is your GPS messed up? Are you messing with music? Are you waiting for an important phone call or text? Think about the reasons that might tempt you to use a phone. We're going to watch this video about JC.
So I just confess that I text and drive. If I get a text, I'll look at my phone. It's definitely texting.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. I do Snapchat and drive sometimes.
Is that like making Snapchat or watching them?
Making them.
Texting is like my main form of communication.
Boredom, honestly.
And B, well, no, I guess no, it's really just A.
I've only never done it at stoplights. I've always been really good about it.
Passenger has a pretty important role in driving now, where they're like, oh, red light, red light.
If someone that you like texts you, you're like, you can't just like let it sit there without just knowing what they said. Because what if something exciting's happening or something happened?
Like every time I do it, I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I just keep doing it.
So I'd like to want to introduce you to the friend of ours.
My name is JC.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Dash. Justin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just really quickly want to have a chat, tell you what happened to me. I was 21 years old, driving home from my college graduation ceremony. Driver on his phone, so distracted. He turned left into the intersection at a red light. Another car, an 18-wheeler, swerved to miss him and hit my family's car. And the resulting collision actually killed both of my parents. I spent 2 months in the hospital fighting for my own life, and then 2 more months in a rehab hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to speak again, learning how to dress myself and how to feed myself. I live with a partially paralyzed body. Didn't have my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married.
Having sort of like met JC, because you look at JC and sort of give those same reasons.
Usually I use my phone to change a song on. I try to use it as little as possible, but
I'm not gonna look at my phone ever again.
Honestly, if I have been sitting at a red light and I'll like glance down to see if my mom's texting me, but the people's lives that are impacted from something that is so stupid.
I can assure you on my drive home right now, I'm not going to use my phone and drive, and I'm not going to do it when I go to work tomorrow and the next day after that until, it becomes a habit, and that just doesn't happen at all.
I know this is hard. I'm sorry. It's hard for me too, but this is real. You have the power to really actually make a difference and do something about it.
JC's story is so impactful because it really does teach us that there is no good text message, phone call. There are no good reasons to be using our phones behind the wheel of a car. I love her story for a couple of reasons. This video specifically, you see a bunch of people who at first were like, well, it's not that big of a deal, right? I mean, I just, I use it to change the song. Sometimes the GPS, it's not that big of a deal. And they really truly believed that. And then they met someone who was directly affected by distractions on the road, someone else's distractions that changed not only her life, her family's life in general. I love what JC says at the end of this video, though. She says, you have the power to really make a difference. That's what we want every single one of you to know. You have the power to change behavior and to make a difference. It's very easy to be distracted from our phones and devices because, again, they hold everything. And we live in a world of instant gratification. We live in a world where it's exciting to know what's going on. So when your phone dings, when it buzzes, there's always that temptation of, is it important? What's going on? Am I missing out on something? I need to check it right now. And it's always a good reminder to be able to take a step back, especially behind the wheel of a car, and to realize that nothing that comes through a device is more important than every single one of you, and especially every single one of those people who drive as well on our Utah roads. Now, we don't show these videos to traumatize you, to scare you out of driving, to upset you. However, the videos that we share sometimes can be upsetting because they're real. They hit home, and that's what we want. We want you to be able to feel something, especially, as adults, as safety and traffic advocates, we want you to be able to see it in a different light. We listed a lot of things that weren't cell phones, though. We had a whole list of other distractions. This next story is Bailey's story. And as you watch Bailey's story, we want you to focus on three things. The first being how many drivers were distracted, how many were paying attention, and how might Bailey's story be different if all of them were paying attention?
It was January 11th, 2016. It was a Monday morning. My husband had dropped baby off at school that morning. Her and her friend had decided that they were going to go and get frappuccinos. They had been at school, had about a half an hour before school was going to start, so they had plenty of time. They were walking across the crosswalk. The cars on the west side of the road had stopped for them. They saw the truck pull out of the Gold's Gym parking lot and thought, we have plenty of time. He sees us. He had leaned over to grab a shaker bottle and did not have his eyes on the road and hit my daughter and her friend. Her friend went to the side of the road, the east side of the road, and my daughter was left in the middle of the road. The second car was paying attention and pulled over into the median and stopped. The third car was not. She was talking to her passenger, and she said that she saw what she thought was laundry in the road, so she chose to center it on her. After she centered it on her, she continued to drive my daughter over 50 yards down the road. I had somebody calling me. My ringer was actually off on my phone, and there was a phone call, and it was a blocked number, which I normally would not answer. So I answered, and it told me, this is Layton City Police Department. I don't remember what his name was. He said, your daughter has been involved in an auto pedestrian accident. Very, very serious. Everybody says it's not going to happen to me. You would have asked me a couple years ago, I would say, not my little girl. She wouldn't be hit. Nobody should have to go through that. No family should have to go through that over something as little as pulling over and parking your car instead of taking your eyes off the road when you're driving.
Bailey's story is heartbreaking, and we understand that the videos that we show are not easy to watch, but they are real. And we are so grateful for all these families, especially the ones from here in Utah that have worked with us, given us permission to go around and essentially share their story with everybody here in hopes that you can learn from their stories and in hopes that you will never find yourself in a position that they had to be in. At the end of every behavior, we're going to talk about some tips. Tips specifically that are good reminders and things that we can implement to make us better drivers. So my first tip for driving focused is to focus on driving. When you get behind the wheel of your car, that is your only job. It is just to drive. It's not to text someone saying, hey, sorry, running late, but we're on our way. It's not to mess with the GPS, not to change music. It is just to focus on driving. Now, the next one is driver rule, no phones, period. For teenagers, the law for them states they can't even have their phone out. It needs to be put away someplace they can't reach it. So we say backpack, glove box, someplace they can't reach it. For us adults, we can't be manipulating it. That is the law for us. That means swiping on it at all. But a good rule of thumb, even for us adults, is no phones, period. Now, of course, GPSs are a thing. I know that. I drive a lot in the state of Utah. I rely on a GPS. Setting that GPS beforehand. If something's messed up with the GPS, pulling off, fixing the GPS, then setting back on to wherever you're headed, instead of trying to do it while you're driving. It's a very easy thing to say, well, I just have to click on one thing. I just have to swipe on one thing. But taking your eyes off the road for even a second can be incredibly dangerous. So no phones, period. And then the third one, and just like we learned in Bailey's story, is never reach for anything. So being able to get everything squared away before you start your journey. And like in Bailey's story, it might not be a shaker bottle. It might look like rummaging around in a bag for a wallet on the passenger seat. Maybe you're looking for chapstick, sunglasses. How many of you have ever had like a water bottle rolling around in the backseat or on the floor, something like that? That's distracting, one, right? But it's also incredibly annoying. And so instead of reaching for it while you're trying to drive, pulling over, taking care of it there. We encourage everyone, if you need to reach for anything, we're not saying you can't take care of that stuff. We're saying pull over, park your car, take care of it then. Don't try and reach for anything, even if it feels really close. And then the last one is to be a good passenger. So be the type of passenger that never distracts the driver. Be the type of passenger that says, hey, do you need me to switch the GPS? Do you need me to fix the GPS? Do you want me to change the music? Add that song to the queue. Encourage other people to do that for you as well. We encourage this a lot for teenagers, right? As they're learning how to drive, we tell them all the time, have your friends do that for you. Don't be the person trying to use your phone. It goes for all of us adults too. So if you need something changed on your phone, you need something put in, maybe you just don't like the song that's being played. have the passenger do that. And again, if it's something that is that important and you need to take care of it yourself, we encourage you to pull off someplace safe and take care of it there. We're going to move on to our second behavior, which is drive calm, aka aggressive driving. Now, we all currently live in the beautiful state of Utah, so when I say aggressive driving, I want you to shout out what comes to your mind.
Everyone.
Lots of laughs, lots of giggles, everyone, right? Others. Specifically Subaru drivers. That's the first time I've gotten that. Yeah. Okay. What other types of behaviors? Anyone ever see a hand gesture out there that maybe doesn't involve all 5 fingers? Yes. That can be a form of aggressive driving.
Yelling at people, telling them to pull over.
Yeah, so yelling at people, telling them to pull over, right? Or even just aggressive eye contact. I don't know if that, I mean, I feel sometimes that can be scary for me. If people are like staring me down, right? That can be scary. So any other behaviors that you've seen or scary things?
You know, someone laying on the horn, I've heard you the first time, don't beep at me 10 times later.
Yeah, there's a courtesy honk and then there's the laying on the horn, right? Which is very aggressive.
Following too closely to someone because they're moving fast enough for them. So they'll just ride right behind them.
Yeah. So following too closely, tailgating, brake checking can be another one, cutting people off in general. One that not a lot of people think about in the state of Utah, or maybe even just in general, is speeding. Because if we think about all the other behaviors we just listed, it almost involves an interaction between 2 people. If you're honking at someone or you're being honked at, that's an interaction between 2 people. Using hand gestures, right? Swearing, anything like that. Interaction between 2 people. Speeding is one that can happen between 2 people, but speeding is actually a trait and a thing that happens to just you too. You can be the one to speed. There could be no one on the road, but speeding is still dangerous. Now, specifically between the months of May and September, Utah's 100 Deadliest Days, it becomes very dangerous because of a lot of speeding issues. So yes, we see a lot of crashes in the winter because of winter driving, road conditions. However, people tend to go a lot slower. When it's snowing, when it's raining, they know they need to slow down even a little bit. So they have crashes, not as many fatalities. In the summertime, the roads are dry, weather is warmer, a lot of families get together, school is out. We tend to see a lot of fatalities that involve speed. So how many of you, well, let's talk about yellow lights. What does yellow mean? We all know what yellow means, right? What does it mean? I mean, slow down or begin to yield, but what do people think it means? Speed up. It actually got so bad here, we made a little commercial about it.
Hell that!
You sugar honey iced tea. You might be a good driver, but you need to watch for those who aren't. Before you go on green, wait to make sure there aren't any bleepers running a red light.
Okay, how many of you have a grandma like that? Know a grandma like that? Know people in your life like that, right? They might be the kindest people and then they get in the car and you're like, what happened to you? Now, I love what this grandma did. She gave herself seconds, just seconds. When you're behind the wheel of a car and you're at an intersection and you're the first person there, your light turns green, pause for just a couple of seconds, scan that intersection back and forth. Even if you've been driving for your whole life, even if you're a really good driver, you've probably seen it, right? Where these people the light will turn red. 3 cars could sometimes go through that intersection and that other light has already turned green. So those people just have to wait. So we encourage people to also just check, scan that intersection back and forth, see if the cars that are supposed to be slowing down are actually slowing down. We see a lot of crashes at intersections because of people who don't wait, but also because of those yellow to red light runners.
That's what happened to me not long ago, like a few weeks ago. Like what they granted me. That was me. But I turned, I live in downtown, so I turned and I thought, oh, it's green because it's green. And so I kept going, but this big truck like stopped next to me, like literally next to me. And I was like, yeah, all my Latina came out, But yeah, so scary.
It's very scary. And it's scary when in those moments everything happens so fast. Sometimes you almost feel like there's nothing that can be done. Something that I love that I learned from a driver's ed teacher. I'm not sure if every single driver's ed teacher follows this. Like, I'm not sure if this is in their handbook. But this specific driver's ed teacher, when he's testing his students, what he does is if the light turns yellow, he counts to 3 in his head. And most of the time those yellow lights are longer than 3 seconds. But if he counts to 3 and that student passes that yellow light, they get dinged points because they should have been slowing down. And after 3 seconds, even if that light is still yellow, they should have been preparing to stop. Because again, you never know what can happen. And I love that. Yeah.
So I don't think it's just at lights that you need to do that. And 96, I was just going down my street 2 blocks away. 4th of July, kid his family was out of town. He's having a party and I'm just going down like I normally 30 miles an hour and he ran the stop sign. And I was like, and took me out. I mean, so it was like literally pushed me 3 lanes down the road. And his thing was, he lived in 2 blocks away from the same area, but every entrance or every crossway, I slow down and watch it. I mean, I had to be cut out of my car.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. So it's not just at a light, it's people just go. They don't even stop anymore, even at stop signs.
Which I really appreciate you bringing up. Yeah, these are things that we can do all the time, right? We always have to be paying attention to our surroundings, which sounds like almost like a no-brainer, right? Like, duh, we need to be paying attention. But it happens in seconds. The driver's ed teacher, I know a lot of the driver's ed teachers, and I adore all of them. This one, I do remember who this one was. He specifically teaches at Woods Cross, and his favorite five-word phrase is, I think it only takes, no, in a matter of seconds. In a matter of seconds. He always teaches his students that in a matter of seconds, things can change. So often we think, well, it's fine. Like, I have time, right? It's going to be fine. In a matter of seconds, a lot of things can change. So we got to be aware of that, especially going through intersections, especially at stop signs, anything like that, where there could be cross traffic pedestrians as well.
We have a few comments in chat. We had an individual, looks like Lacey, said that they ride a bike and people often will get too close in general. Biking is huge. Cyclists are huge around here. And then we also have Doug Handy, who said UPS teaches us one of its main driving safety points is count 1, 2, 3 after the vehicle ahead starts to move or the light changes.
I love that. Yes. Well, and I want to add, so to go to the bike one. The bike one, we have a rule here, and I'm sure all of you are aware of it. A good rule of thumb is about 3 feet, biker car, which is about the size of a guitar, right? So if you want to put it into a different perspective, a size of a guitar. So you want to make sure that you're at least 3 feet away from those bikers because those bikers are very vulnerable. They're one of our more vulnerable road users because they're not inside of a car, right? They're just on a bike. We also have to be paying attention for them and motorcyclists when we're changing lanes, anything like that, because you never know if they're around you. I really appreciate any of those comments online, so keep them coming up. Yes.
So I also ride a bike, but I have also been in dangerous situations where the biker creates the dangerous situation. So bikers also need to be aware of what's happening and on the road around them because they can cause havoc on the road themselves. So they need to have some biking tips and some road tips because they'll get too close to the edge. They're riding the white line. You have a car coming in the opposite direction. You slow down, you've got people behind you and things like that. They can create dangerous situations as well.
Thank you for bringing that up. If any of you are familiar with the Zero Fatalities Back to Basic campaign, we did this last summer, 2 summers ago. Essentially it was it was for adults specifically, getting back to the roots of driver's ed. So it wasn't necessarily for new drivers in the state of Utah or younger 16-year-olds. It was for those adults, getting back to those basics. We actually made a lot of videos about bike safety specifically because you're right. It can be drivers. It can also be bikers as well. So
yep, the drivers always get the backlash, but sometimes it is the biker that's creating the situation.
thank you for bringing that up.
We have one more comment in chat that I wanted to bring up. Lacey Spencer says, I would truly love to see more time spent teaching all drivers following distances and stopping distances for different vehicles.
Ooh. Yes. Okay. Well, Lacey, thank you for bringing that up because we do actually have, I'll get to that in just a second, but for different vehicles, Zero Fatalities, we also partner with motor carriers and Truck Smart. So we teach a lot about semi-truck safety. So if any of you have businesses or connections and you're like, I want a semi-truck presentation where the blind spots are, the stopping distance of trucks, we can talk about that. We're actually going to get into tailgating. That's a perfect segue into this next video. Tailgating happens without us even realizing it sometimes. And tailgating is so dangerous. This news story is going to show us just how dangerous it can be.
This car caught on camera careening out of control. The horrifying high-speed accident. Tonight, a graphic display of the dangers of tailgating. Watch again. The driver in the green Ford quickly reacts to avoid a mattress on the road, abruptly swerving, hitting the truck in the next lane. Then those rocks on the left flipping across this Arizona interstate. The driver, 23-year-old Brianna Desaya of Texas, miraculously walks away unscathed. Her life saved because she was wearing her seatbelt. Arizona authorities say she was driving too closely to the vehicle in front of her and didn't have enough time to react to the mattress. So how long does it take to respond?
So a total of about 1.5 seconds to see something react appropriately.
And 1.5 seconds doesn't sound like much. Does it really make a difference?
It can. When you're traveling at high speeds, that 1.5 seconds means that you may have covered 100 feet or so in that time. That your brain is processing this, and that's precious distance you've lost.
A rule of thumb when driving on the highway, give 3 seconds of following distance. To measure, find a fixed object like a telephone pole. When the car in front of you passes it, count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. If you get to the marker before 3, you're too close.
Okay, let's talk about that pickup truck. Did that pickup have any issue swerving around that mattress? No, they saw it ahead of time. They knew they were going to have to slow down. They knew they were going to have to swerve. Brianna did not. She did not have that following distance, that precious reaction time. Tailgating becomes so dangerous because you lose the time to react, right? In a matter of seconds, things could change. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself as many seconds as you can.
You can do that, but on the freeway, somebody thinks that they can cut in. That's enough room to cut into you. So it's like
Then you back off.
you have to do that, but then it's like you leave that. People think, yeah, that's it. I can get in there. So.
Yeah, well, and that happens specifically a lot with semi trucks too. They have to leave that extra cushion because semis have a bigger braking distance, and people see that and they'll cut in front of these trucks, and these trucks sometimes won't be able to slow down.
So I work for Barney Trucking, and we do some of your outreach programs, and that is a big thing for trucks, is because they are monitored. They have cameras in their trucks, and they have different equipment in their trucks that actually monitor their behaviors on the road, but everybody else aren't monitored, right? And so you have drivers and truck drivers have to keep a further safe distance from the vehicle in front of them, and people just cut in and out of them there because there's always that space on the freeway. There's always that space in front of a truck, if you notice, on the freeways, and people cut in and out of that and push drivers and all this kind of stuff just because they are creating that space between them and the car in front of us, and we cut in and out in front of them.
Yeah, no, and it becomes a big deal depending on the speed you're going and how heavy the truck is, how heavy the car is.
Yeah,
to go back,
is loaded, they cannot stop for you.
To go back to Brianna, she didn't have that following distance. She lost that time to react. When she was following so closely to that pickup, she didn't see the mattress, which made her lose control over the vehicle. She hit the truck, that kind of clipped it, which flipped her car. So being able to give your brain that second to process what's going on, but also our cars can't instantly come to a complete stop either. So if we look at this graphic, I love this graphic because it shows how long it takes a typical car going different speeds to come to a complete stop. So 25 miles per hour, which is what cars would be going in neighborhoods, right? About that, around school zones even. It takes 21 yards to come to a complete stop in under 2 seconds. Compare that to 65 miles an hour, which is not even the speed on I-15. It takes 102 yards, or the length of a football field, to come to a complete stop in about 3 seconds. Now, 3 seconds doesn't sound, it's a really short amount of time. Now, it sounds like you can't travel that far because it's so fast, but again, depending on how fast you're going, you could travel the length of a football field in just about 3 seconds. So when it comes to speeding, when it comes to following too closely, that's why that becomes so dangerous, is because your car needs that time to react as well. Obviously, you need that time to react to things, drivers in front of you, drivers around you. But again, when it comes to speeding as well, our cars can't instantly come to a complete stop. So let's talk about some tips on how to drive calm. The first tip is to plan ahead and don't use drive time to make up time. So give yourself that extra time. If you need to be somewhere in 20 minutes, leave in 10, right? Give yourself 10 minutes of extra cushion time. Give yourself 15 minutes of extra cushion time. If you run into traffic, bad weather, a crash, you won't have to speed or tailgate because you've given yourself that extra time. The next one is never drive angry or upset. We talked specifically about aggressive tendencies, but I also want to mention being upset. We see a lot of crashes that happen with people who have stuff going on at home. Maybe they just got out of a relationship. Maybe they just have who knows what's going on in their heads. They get behind the wheel of a car to blow off steam. However, when you lose control over your emotions, you could easily lose control over a vehicle. So be the one that's in control. If you know that you're upset, you know that you're angry, even though you want to get behind the wheel of a car just to blow off steam, get your mind off of things, is that the best place for you to be? And then the next one is what we call the ABCs to avoid or end road rage. So let's say you are behind the wheel, road rage is starting to creep up on you. We have this little acronym we want you to remember, which is avoid retaliation, breathe, and carry on. We're going to move on to drive buckled. This is one of my favorite sections. By show of hands, how many of you in this room know someone who does not like to wear a seatbelt? Okay, that's too many of us, right? Now, here at Zero Fatalities, we hear a lot of excuses. Some people come to us and say, well, it doesn't really impact me. It only impacts me and it doesn't impact other people. So you know what? It doesn't matter because I don't care what I do. So I'm not going to wear one. We have some people who come to us and say, well, I'm a really big person. I'm not going to move around. So I just don't. Then my favorite is I'm a really strong person. If I really had to, I would just hold myself down in a crash. So we're going to address all three of those today, starting with my seatbelt only impacts me. Your seatbelt not only impacts you, it impacts every other person in the car as well. This next video is going to show us how, and just as a warning, this one's a little more graphic.
So hot, she ends up with brain damage.
Okay.
I can never get it. Almost like you. I give it one more. Once together. Without I
Read in this vehicle. Service critical. Say the guy without the seatbelt did the damage.
Seatbelt. No excuse. DOE.
Statistically speaking, if there is even one person unbuckled in a car, it increases the risk of serious injury or death by 40%. And that's to everybody in the car, even if those other people are wearing their seatbelts. Now, I want to Also, have us watch this dash cam video. So this is a real dash cam. Now this person is going to fall asleep and he's gonna hit a cement barrier, overcorrect, hit a cement barrier. But I want you to see what happens at the end. He does not have his seatbelt on. So it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, in a crash, you're gonna move. So let's look at the physics of a crash. It's your weight times your speed equals your restraining force. So if you weigh 130 pounds and you're traveling at 60 miles an hour, you would need to be strong enough to hold down nearly 8,000 pounds. So when you are in a vehicle, unless you're strong enough to bench press 8,000 plus pounds, you probably won't be able to hold yourself down. But our seatbelts are actually designed to do that. They're designed to keep us in there, in the car. Now, some people will come to us and say, well, I would much rather be ejected from my vehicle. I don't want to be in my vehicle during a crash. This is a simulated rollover of 6 of our crash dummies going 43 miles an hour. None of them have their seatbelts on. All of them will be ejected from this vehicle. So I want you to notice how high they go, how they land, where they're landing. I want you to notice on what parts of their body are they landing. Some of them, the vehicle even rolls over them. And these ones specifically, if you look at these ones, and then there's going to be one more in this corner. Notice where this one lands, what part of their body. That was the first one to be ejected, the very last one to land. So people will come to us and say, well, I don't want to wear my seatbelt because I'd rather be ejected from my vehicle. If we look at this car and I just showed you that car and asked you what it was, you'd be able to tell me it was a car. Even though it's totaled, it's destroyed, the chances of these crash dummies surviving something like this would have been a lot higher if they would have been wearing their seatbelts. My final story is about this beautiful blonde right here named Chelsea. This is Chelsea and her best friend, Jamie. One night, Chelsea and Jamie needed to run to the grocery store and they used a very common excuse. They were just going down the street. It was just right around the corner. So Chelsea didn't put her seatbelt on that night. As they were driving to that grocery store, they were turning into the parking lot at only 5 miles an hour when another car rear-ended her vehicle, flipping it. She was ejected from the sunroof, killing her on impact that night. It doesn't matter how fast you're going. It doesn't matter how far you are from your home. Seatbelts really do save lives. So let's talk about some of my final tips. My first tip for driving buckled is everyone buckles every ride for the entire duration of a ride. Doesn't matter if you're going right down the street. Doesn't matter if you're only going 5 miles an hour. Seatbelts are designed to keep you safe and inside of the car. The next one is to make it your rule. Be that person that says, I'm not moving this vehicle until everyone puts their seatbelt on. I'm sure a lot of us have encountered people like that. I know when I was in college, I tried to be that person, and I had some of my friends and roommates who hated me for that. But seatbelts are so important. We need to make it our rule. We need to make sure that we're keeping other people safe. When you are driving a car, you are responsible for every single person in that vehicle. So make it your rule. And then we got to wear our seatbelts correctly. So we got to wear them on our strong bones, our shoulders, hip to hip. So when we take this shoulder belt, we put it behind our back, our lap belt could slide up. It creates a pivot point on our spine. We don't naturally bend at our spine like that. So we want to make sure it's going on our shoulder. If we take this shoulder belt, put it underneath our arm, it is now cutting across those vital organs. Those aren't strong enough to withstand those crash impacts. So we want to make sure that we are wearing it correctly. And lastly, speak up as a passenger. Tell every single person you love to buckle up. Tell every single person the reason why it's so important. When we can do all of these things, we can make zero fatalities our goal every single day. We can achieve that goal of decreasing those fatalities. Hey, that is all I have. I don't know if there's any questions or anything else online. Do any of you have any questions, comments, anything? Thank you all so much.
thank you, Madison. We appreciate your time and all the knowledge you shared for us here. I'm sure everyone's going to be a safer driver on their way home or wherever they're headed after this. Quickly, we will touch on our next Start with Safety, which is on May 6th. We will be going over managing workplace stress for better mental health and better health. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you there. As well as we have our social medias on here if you guys would like to scan those QR codes and give us a follow on all our great platforms where we have that at. With that, that's it for me and it for us. So thank you guys and stay safe.
Yes, we do. So how do you set that up? With me.